Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, it's The Ramsey Show, where we help people build wealth, do work that they love, and create amazing, healthy relationships. I am Rachel Cruz, Ramsey personality, hosting this hour with my good friend and fellow Ramsey personality, Dr. John Deloney. And we are answering your questions, and it's a free call anywhere in the country at 888-825-5225. So starting us off this hour is Sarah in Charlotte, North Carolina. Hey, Sarah, welcome to the show.
Hello, how are you?
We are doing great. Thanks for calling. How can we help?
Okay, so we have a really old family car that probably doesn't have a whole lot of time left, and we're also trying to save up for baby step 3. And I feel like we have to do both at once because our emergency fund is really small and our car is really old.
Yeah.
So my question is, number one, is that a good idea? Should I be doing them together or should I break them up into separate goals? And what's a reasonable timeline to accomplish both of them?
Sure. Well, how much do you guys make a year?
About $130,000.
Okay. And for this car that may be leaving you soon, how much do you think, if you Kelly Blue booked it, what would you get it for?
Oh my goodness. I don't even think I could get $1,000 for it.
Okay. Yeah.
What makes you think it's dying? Are you making $130,000 and you're embarrassed? Or what makes you think it doesn't have much time left?
Well, it's part of it's held together with duct tape. And the hatch won't open, and the 2 side doors, we have to finagle and push them really hard. My kids have to do tricks to get them to close. I can go on. It runs, and we can get from place to place.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's 250,000 miles on it. And so I haven't wanted to get rid of it because it still works, and I don't have the money to buy a new car, and I don't want to borrow money. So,
yeah.
But we don't have a lot in savings. So that's kind of where I work. I don't work outside the home. I stay at home with my kids. So it's just one income. So we can only save up so fast.
Sure.
So how much are you guys saving a month towards the emergency fund and the car?
Well, we've been putting away about $1,000 a month for the car.
Okay.
For about 5 months. And then
so do you have $5,000?
Yeah, we do.
For
and then
the
we
car?
have for a new car.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we have $1,900 in our emergency fund, so that's really low.
Yep. What's y'all's goal? What amount are you guys shooting for your emergency fund?
Well, 3 months for us would be about $1,400 minimum.
Okay.
All just bills and food. We have 5 kids.
14,000 or 1,400?
Oh, 14,000 for 3 months of expenses.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You said 1,400. I was like, man, your kids eat way less than my kids.
No.
All right, 14,000.
We have 5 kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I homeschool, so I don't bring in any money, even though I work all the time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, here's the deal, Sarah. Your car, we talk about the 4 walls: food, shelter, utilities, transportation. Transportation is to a degree a need, right? Especially for one car, for one person to leave the home, earn money, and come back. But there are a lot of families, I'm not suggesting this, but just say it out loud. People do the 1-car family a lot. That's a reality as they're in this process.
There's always 4 or 5 couples. Somebody's dropping somebody off here at the office because they're trying to get out of debt.
Yeah, we see that.
They drop them off and they go back home. They drop them off and they go to their work.
Right.
Almost, I always laugh oh, thanks, Mom. But also, good for y'all, man.
Yeah,
good for y'all.
That's right. Yes.
They're making the sacrifice.
Yeah, for sure. So, but what I would say, Sarah, is at this point, I would keep sticking it out a few more months with this car. And until and I don't know cars, John, you probably could talk more into this, but until the engine, until the thing actually breaks and it won't turn on. I know cosmetically it's super frustrating with the doors and the duct tape, but I'll tell you, Sarah, when I grew up, and I remember my dad had an old Lincoln car after they went bankrupt and all that, and I remember him picking me up from school on certain days, and the fabric of the roof of the car was loose.
Oh,
so when
sagging
stopped,
down. I remember that.
And it would it would stay, and we would push our hands up in the first grade to hold it because it would just go on us, and the air conditioning didn't work, so it was all sweat. It was just gross, right? So all that to say, cosmetically, I know it's frustrating and the hatch won't open. Like I hear you. I hear you, Sarah. And if I could deliver you a new Escalade right now, I would. Like I know it's not fun, but it's running, and that mindset is kind of where you have to be. And then when it does out and it's going to cost more to fix than what it's worth, and you get into that whole debacle, for me, that's where I would pull out of the emergency fund. And I would say, I'm going to earmark $5,000 for an emergency fund. Or you have almost $2,000. So I would, if I were you, Sarah, I would say we have $7,000 in our emergency fund. We're going to keep saving and saving and saving and saving. We're going to work towards this 14. And if something were to happen in the middle of that,
we've got it.
We have the cash then to pull it out if we need to, and to say, okay, we have to buy another crappy car for this season of life, but we're going to. So you're not going to drain your whole account. You still want money in there for a small emergency fund, but you can use that cash. So I think some people, maybe this is just me personally. I know, George Camel may have a different opinion on this, because some people love to have the, but when you're right now where you are with the state of your car, the emergency fund, I would just feel safer to think, okay, we have $6,000, $7,000 in savings. We're going to continue to stay gazelle intense and keep putting cash in. And then if we reach that 14,000, and the car still hasn't died, then I'm going to go separate. And I'm going to say, okay, before I go and throw a bunch of money at retirement, I'm probably going to save up another $5 on the side.
That's actually what I would do. I would hold off on retirement for just a few more months. And this is where I think families, I know we're pretty dogmatic about the baby steps, but I also think a husband and wife team can sit there and agree on a sprint. And say, hey, you make $130,000, husband. I'm staying home with 111 kids here. Would you be willing to, for 4 months, deliver pizzas 2 in the evening or whatever, do Uber Eats? And I know you're exhausted, but we could sprint through this thing.
For 4 months, right.
For 4 months, and then we can go get ourselves a car that works. And so I love Rachel's idea about, let's stack this thing up. If your car happens to just die, you'll have $14,000 to buy a new car with, or $10,000, and you'll have $4,000 in your emergency fund. But man, trying to do 2 things at once is almost impossible. And
that's what we're finding.
It's just not worth it, man.
I'd put it all in one big savings, label it the emergency fund. And if something happens, because again, most of what you described, most of it was cosmetic.
But you're right. It was.
And it's frustrating. I get it. But
let me say this too. You have this moment where and you're probably already doing this, but you can bring your kids along on this debt-free ride. You can give them a ringside seat to a mom who is making sacrifices. And so when they get in the car, they're like, Mom, the door won't open. You can say out loud, and we don't owe anybody any money. Figure it out. And we can all laugh and smile. But when you're older and they're older, they'll tell the story of the time Mom didn't give up. And it feels like you're sacrificing. You're not. You're teaching them lifelong lessons.
You guys are doing great, Sarah. Keep it up. This is The Ramsey Show.
Hey, if you're in over your head with student loans and tired of getting calls from collection agencies, if private student loan debt is taking away your financial peace and you don't see any way out, you need Refi. They're not a debt settlement company, and they're not connected to a bank. Refi refinances defaulted private student loans that other places won't touch and gives you a custom loan built for you based on your ability to pay. So when you refinance your private student loan debt with Refi, you'll have a payment you can afford with a low fixed interest rate you couldn't get anywhere else to help you stick to your budget and work the debt snowball. And you can save thousands of dollars. To learn more about this custom refinancing option and a lump sum payoff option you could qualify for after 24 months, call 844-2-RAMSEY or go to yrefi.com/Ramsey.
Welcome back to the Ramsey Show. I am Rachel Cruz hosting this hour with Dr. John Deloney, and we're answering your questions when it comes to life, to money, everything. So 888-825-5225. It's a free call anywhere in the country. Up next, we have Carly in Fargo, North Dakota. Hey, Carly, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hello.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for calling. How can we help?
So I just have a question about me and my husband. We are buying or hoping to buy my parents' house, and I was just wondering if we are ready to do that.
All right.
Is your family ready for that?
I don't know. So we would be living with them, too, in the transition of everything.
So you're going to buy their house and they're going to keep living in it?
Yeah, for a little bit, and then they are building and moving.
No, they're not. They're going to stay with you forever.
Oh, stop, John.
Forever.
No, they're not. Okay, Carly. So, how much is the house? How much are you buying it for?
$250,000.
Okay. And what's your current home? When you sell it, what will you have? What will you walk away with?
We are going to walk away with around 91 with everything after we pay our current loan.
Okay. Yep. Okay. So roughly 160 a loan you'll take out. And your parents, and I mean, so this was to John's point, I know he was joking, but to hit on that.
I was being 100% serious. buying your car from your parents or buying your house from your parents, sometimes they'll give you a great deal, and it often comes with strings. Or sometimes they...
Yeah, but they're not going to live in it forever and ever.
Yeah.
But it will be their home.
It will be their home. That is true. So let's
the thought that you're going to buy this house for $250,000 and move into it, and your parents are still going to be in there. Thought number one.
Yes.
Are they going to keep the master bedroom while they live there?
Yes.
Yes. Number two, are they going to have opinions on how you decorate the kitchen and the yard?
Well, we'll wait to do all of that until they're out. We'll keep it the same as what they have it right now.
It sounds so good in your heart, but I'm just telling you.
How long will they be there with you, Carly? Because I know they're building. So when will they move?
So they're hoping to move in the spring of 2024.
Okay. So
yep.
9 months.
So this winter we would be living with them.
Okay, yeah.
At least there's lots of warmth and joy outside in Fargo in the winter.
Oh, gosh.
Y'all won't be cooped up in the same house together. Okay, why the rush, Carly? Why do you want to do that right now?
Oh, that's a good question.
Well, they're building, and they would be putting their house on the market in the spring.
Okay.
So we just thought we would try to get our house sold just to get it, so we have our money to be able to take that amount off of the $250,000.
Well, sure, but why wouldn't you just do that in the spring too?
Do that in the spring?
I mean, yeah. Why would you jump the gun? I guess. What's the rush?
What keeps you from wanting just to move in versus having your own house now and you guys living and just saying, yeah, by March we're gonna make this transition together, right? They move out, you move in.
I guess I'm not sure. I guess we could wait.
Yeah, I think
market
on the and I think, Carly, a lot of people have fear around the real estate market because it's like, oh my gosh, interest rates are up. Is there a bubble? What's going to happen? But I mean, for the most part, houses aren't getting cheaper, right? So if anything, you'll probably even make possibly more money on your current home in 6 months than you even will now. But I would, from a relational standpoint, it might be wise just to pump the brakes a little bit. You guys don't have this urgent decision that you have to make. So moving in and making the time frame, overlap very small if needed. Because do they need any cash out of their house, or I guess they're doing a construction loan?
Yeah, so they would be using the loan money to be able to help build.
Okay. Carly, how much for you and your family, not your parents, but you guys, financially, where are you at? Do you guys have debts? Do you have savings?
So right now we have a car payment and then the house mortgage payment.
How much do you owe on the car?
On the car, how much do how much? $477 a month.
I know. How much is the total loan? Do you know?
Do you know how much the total loan is? It's a lease.
Okay. And when is it up?
In the next year.
In the next year. Okay. How much do you guys make a year?
We're making around $145,000 a year.
Okay.
Gross.
Yeah, good for you guys. Okay. Well, yeah, the lease is just. Do you guys have cash at all? Any savings?
So in our savings, we have about $14,000.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, from a financial standpoint, I mean, the lease is the only, somewhat debt that you're carrying, and you guys have a good emergency fund in place. So I mean, just at this point, it's more the relational factor that kind of has us pausing. And probably our advice would be just to slow it down so there's not any messiness of moving in with the parents and all of that.
Yeah. Here's what I would say. And it's so easy to do handshake deals and, hey, we'll just take care of it. And you've heard me say this a lot, but we think in pictures, but we speak in words. And so when they say, hey, we'll take care of it, you might see free. And when they say we'll take care of it, they might say we're going to do the paperwork and give the $10,000 charge to you guys. And it's going to be awkward when you get an inspection done on their house to find out, hey, the roof has a leak in it, or there's a problem with the sewer system or whatever. And there's going to be a challenge when they say, hey, how about you just pay us and you don't even have to get a loan? No, we're going to go through a bank. We're going to make this as clean as possible because we want you to stay our parents. We want to still be y'all to we want us to love each other.
Go through. Yep. And that was our plan, was to go through the bank to do the loan and everything like that.
Yeah. What I know about building is it never comes in on time.
Yeah.
And so I think an idea in Fargo, we're going to be done in the spring. The chances of it running to next fall are very high. Maybe not.
Yep. So they do it. They have a cabin that they're going to be moving into. So it's going to be a for sure like March, April move out. Whether or not the building is done or not, they'll just be getting started.
So I think you could do something as simple as write up a personal contract in your home computer and hand it to your dad and say, I'm going to buy this house for this much and we're going to close April 1st. Okay. And then you and your husband, now y'all have this much time to get your house sold, get some cash saved up, get that stupid lease out of your life, or figure out how you don't have to re-up it, right? And you have a long runway to get into this thing.
Yeah, and Carly, what is the reason you're choosing this house over something else? I'm just curious.
Their house over something else, is that what you said?
Yeah.
The location and the size of the house, and
are they cutting you a deal on it?
They're cutting a deal too.
Okay. Yeah. So you guys wanted to upgrade anyways. You wanted more square footage.
Yeah, our house right now is small, so we would be.
So you were going to want to anyways. Okay. Perfect. Yep. No, that's great. So everything John said, I totally agree with. And I just want to make sure always with these family deals, sometimes, and Carly, that's why I asked that question here at the end, is because it's like, oh, mom and dad they're moving and the childhood home, the whole family wants to keep it in the name and we'll be the ones that sacrifice and
or
take this on.
Or they want to sell it to us because they want it to stay in the family.
Yeah, or like there's some weird like strings and all that. So just making sure that you guys, as just you and your husband, Carly, and your family, that this is a move that you guys would have done anyways. Mom and dad are moving at the same time. That's great. We'll cut a great deal. We'll figure it out, move forward. Just making sure that there's no weirdness of any pressure, feeling like you guys have to make this move when you may not even want to. So thanks for the call. This is The Ramsey Show.
Hey folks, Dr. John Deloney here with some great news. You get to choose. Whatever you do, good or bad moving forward, the choice is yours. And when you're intentional about making good choices over time, they become healthy habits, like choosing to slow down and make time for a daily practice of prayer and meditation. One thing that has helped me with the daily practice of meditation and prayer is Hallow. Hallow is the #1 prayer app in the world, and they're giving you 3 months free to get started. That's 3 months free to prioritize your mental health and be intentional about finding peace through calming music, prayers, meditation, and more. And Hallow isn't just Catholic. You can tailor the content towards your faith tradition. If you don't have a faith tradition, this is a great place to learn more about it. From scripture readings and prayers to journaling, Hallow makes it easy to practice mindfulness, build a deeper, more meaningful spiritual life, and choose peace. Remember, Hallow is giving you 90 days free. Imagine the peaceful habits you can establish in 90 days. Go to hallow.com/Ramsey today and follow the simple prompts to start your free 90-day trial. That's hallow.com/Ramsey.
Welcome back to the Ramsey Show. John, you've been hard at work, I would say, for a bit now, because, well, you're always hard at work, not just for a bit, but always.
I'm glad that felt so good. I'm glad you recognize.
But the stuff you talk about, especially on your show, you know, when you look in the lane specifically with anxiety, with depression, all these things that are so intertwined that are continuing to increase. I mean, we all see the studies and the stats and everything coming out that it just continues to be a problem. And so this is a subject that you've really honed in on and then in turn have written an entire book about.
Right. And I've also experienced it in my own house. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I've been talking a lot about it on the show. It's called Building a Non-Anxious Life. And we'll just keep talking about it, by the way. But listen, you know those little blurbs on the back of the book of a book jacket where famous people tell you how great the book is, right?
They all love it.
Well,
They're
the team
always
handed me this paper, and as I started reading these, I don't think these are real, but here's what they wrote. Advanced Praise for Building a Non-Anxious Life by Dr. John Deloney. Jocko writes, good book, pro tip, throw the dust jacket away so you never have to look at his face. Thanks, Jocko. Kelly Daniels, my producer, says, well, we finally wrote something with that pen instead of twirling it between his fidgety little fingers.
Oh my gosh.
Personality Ken Coleman said, this book is 10 times better than all of my books combined. I sleep with an autographed copy on my bedside table. Dr. Deloney's my hero. Thanks, Ken. That means the world.
So gracious.
Dr. Jordan Peterson writes, this book is an analog of the structure of existence itself. It puts you on the border of chaos and... That was actually pretty funny. I think the team made those up. But listen, you can get the book right now. It's $20, and we're going to throw a whole bunch of things at you to encourage you to get it early. It will be in your mailbox October 3rd when it releases. And if you wait till October 3rd, that's great too. It's going to be in all the stores, and you can get it anywhere you buy books. But know this. I kept in mind all the latest neuroscience and nerd stuff, and I kept in mind all the professionals and practitioners that I talked to across the country. But I wrote it for you. If you are into the neural pathways and the way chemicals in your brain interact, this book probably is not for you. If you are interested in what can I do right now to help my kids? What can I do right now to help my house, my classroom, my workplace? With that person you look in the mirror, I wrote this book for you. And it is simple. It's a path towards a non-anxious life so that your body doesn't have to get your attention all the time with those alarms. So, Rachel, that's what we're doing. Go to RamseySolutions.com, $20, and get your copy now.
It's so good because I feel like for some people, you know, they hear the word anxiety or, I mean, like anything in that mental health space. And some people are very intrigued by it. And they're like, oh my gosh, I want to learn more. I want to know what's going on with me. And then some people are like, no, that's not for me. that stuff, people get stuck in just the therapy loop of life and talk about feelings, and we got to get stuff done. You got to move on. Like there's like kind of that grit mentality almost. So just for just a second, talk about like what is anxiety? If it's something that people, because you hear that word a lot, and there's some people that aren't going to go and dive into it, even if maybe they have it, they don't even realize it. But when you're talking about a non-anxious life, what would an anxious life be?
So I used to be a hold the line nerd, if you will, and I would push my nerd glasses up my nerd nose and say, hey, anxiety is actually a clinical term only for diagnostics, and you have to be trained, and it's one of these things, and it's in the DSM or in the 10 codes. And then I started acting like a human being and say everybody uses the word anxiety, and it can mean burnout, it can mean chronic stress, it can mean I can't breathe when my husband walks in the door and I don't know why because I actually like that guy. It can be your kid walks in and slams the door and just heads straight to the room, and you or just brush it off and say, oh, that's just teenagers, but in your guts something's wrong with that relationship. So that's the way we use it in our culture. We just throw it all under, I'm anxious, he's got anxiety.
Right.
So I just went with that this time, and I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. What I tell folks is the last study I looked at said 50% of the United States experiences some form of burnout, chronic stress, or anxiety. And the other half of America is married to them. So you can say this isn't you. I don't have nothing to do with this, but it's your wife.
Yeah. Or your husband, yeah.
It's your boss, it's your son, it's your daughter, it's your husband. This is impacting you, and it's your politician that's screaming their head off about it's all coming down when it probably isn't. So this is a really important read, and the world, in my opinion, doesn't need another clinical treatise. We need a what do I do right now?
Yep.
And there is a time for counseling. There is a time for medication. You and I both see a counselor. We're pretty open about that. Both of our spouses see counselors. That's really important. But man, we have thrown a lot of counselors at the problem and a lot of medication at the problem globally, and it is just continuing to escalate. And so this is, what can I do in my house right now?
Yep.
And let's start there, and made it as simple as possible and as tactile as possible. But anxiety, it's just your body trying to get your attention. It is a smoke alarm in your kitchen that something's on fire. It's not the problem. The problem is the fire. And this book points you to the fires in your life and how to deal with them.
Yeah, and in every area.
Right.
So good. So powerful. So you can go to RamseySolutions.com and pre-order Building a Non-Anxious Life today. Again, if you pre-order, you get a bunch of free great stuff, and it will be delivered in your mailbox October 3rd. Awesome.
And for those of you that can be in the Nashville area, October 5th, we are going to have a Madhouse live event here on Ramsey's campus. October 5th, 7 o'clock. It is going to be wheels off. We're going to have a book launch party. I'll be speaking. We'll have some guests show up. Don't miss it. You can get on RamseySolutions.com and check out tickets and all that.
Get tickets there. Awesome.
It's going to be fun.
So great. All right. Up next, we have Casey in Fayetteville. Hey, Casey. Welcome to the show.
Hey there. Thank you so much for having me. I feel grateful.
Oh, well, thanks for calling. How can we help?
Yeah, so I am currently serving active duty in the Army. I actually just completed 10 years.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Casey, for your service.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. Unfortunately, I've sustained some pretty significant injuries that is requiring me to be medically separated, hopefully medically retired, just depending on disability rating and all of that. My question to you is, the remaining debt that I have is $10,000 in student loans. And I'm kind of in a pickle where I have the money to pay them off right now. However, my situation is, if I get a high enough disability rating, the VA takes care of those loans for you. Now, I expect to be separated probably by next spring. My guess is March, April, just given how long these things take. Obviously, with the interest rates kicking back in and payments starting back up in October, it's kind of made me sit down and think about this. Like, do I want to just go ahead and knock this out so I'm not growing this interest, or come when I'm separated, I do have a high enough disability rating to get those taken care of for me. And so I'm just kind of in like a dilemma of how to go about this.
Yeah. How much do you have in savings total?
We have roughly about $25,000 in a high yield savings, $5,000 in a CD, and then I have $20,000 in a thrift savings plan that I just recently started for my retirement.
A thrift savings plan from your retirement?
Yeah. So it's a program that's in like the military.
Oh, okay.
It's an account you can set up at any time, and you can put a certain percentage of your paycheck towards it.
Gotcha.
And you can put it into certain different funds.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. But that's more considered retirement, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So for you guys, is there a chance that in March that they would come back and say no, that they wouldn't be able to take care of it because of the amount of disability that you're looking at?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible that I don't get a high enough rating, and that's the thing. I don't know what my rating will be until it happens. So
Yes.
It's kind of like, I could hope for it, and then it doesn't happen, and then I'm just stuck with that much more money I owe.
For sure.
Which I could pay for it, but it just seems silly. So
Yeah, for sure. Well,
transitioning,
yeah, Casey, I mean, if I were you today, I would just go pay it off. And I would be, detached from that loan and be done with it and continue to live my life. And you'll make different decisions, I think, between now and even spring because you guys are debt free. So, and again, they may come back and, maybe you would have had it paid off. But here's the deal. You have the money now. And for me, I'm like, as soon as possible that I can not have debt in my life, that's the route I'm going to choose.
9 months of sleep you could pay for with that $10,000.
That's right. So I'd pay it off, Casey. And thanks again for your service. Hey guys, being free to make your own medical decisions is a big deal these days. Christian Healthcare Ministries gives members the freedom to choose the doctors and providers they want without the frustration of worrying about networks and with no waiting period to join. It's a membership-based nonprofit ministry where hundreds of thousands of Christians share funds to pay for and pray for each other's medical bills. For over 40 years, CHM has helped families living across all 50 states. So see if CHM could be right for your family. Check out more today at chministries.org/budget. Welcome back to the Ramsey Show. I'm Rachel Cruz, hosting this hour with Dr. John Deloney, taking your calls. And listen, you guys, if you are a new listener and you hear terms like the debt snowball or the baby steps or all this kind of like lingo around specifically money, and you're thinking, hey, I want to get on board, because we have new people all the time, YouTube, podcasts. I mean, there's so many of you guys that are just tuning in and seeing, hey, what can I do now to take control of my money? And you're listening to us. And so the best way to plug in and the best way to understand where you're at and what to do next is our Get Started guide. So if you go to RamseySolutions.com and you click on that, it's really going to help take, what's in your head and what you're thinking and kind of figuring out and just put it right in front of you and to say, hey, here is your next step. So again, it's a button called Get Started, but really it's this kind of thing you fill out to really understand where you're at today and help you on your financial journey when it comes to Ramsey Solutions as we guide you and have some of these terms and all of that too. So go to RamseySolutions.com and click the Get Started button to figure out your next step in your financial journey. All right, up next, we have Jamie in Memphis. Hey, Jamie, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for taking my call.
Absolutely. How can we help?
So my husband and I, we have a blended family. We have 4 children. 2 live with us and 2 live with their mother. We're communicating with our 16-year-old and her mother regarding her first car. We're trying to encourage a cash car, and we'll contribute to the purchase and possibly just buy the whole car if we can agree on the kind of car and everything. But her mother's suggesting financing a vehicle that's a bit more expensive and doesn't seem to have any insight into the Ramsey principles. Do you have any advice on how we should handle this situation?
Yeah, don't let your kid get stuck in the middle of this. I know that sounds so hard, but if
and that means what? Making the parents make the decision.
That means if bio mom is makes it sound like she's a robot. If biological mother is where this kid lives and she wants to make a decision, I think you sit down and say, hey, we don't believe in taking out loans in our house. And you can look at our home, and our home is peaceful. We've made these choices. And in no way are we going to disparage BioMom at all. But this is the life we've chosen. We're willing to give you a car that you won't owe any money on. You're not going to have any payments on, because that's what we believe. Then you state your piece, you put on the table what you're able to put on it. And if she chooses to go with what her mother is telling her, I would not roast her, because she's caught in the middle of two different households with two different sets of values. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes perfect sense.
And I
Thank
think
you.
that I think your promise to her is, I'll sit with you when you're complaining about having to make this payment in 2.5 years. Or you have to sit out a semester of college because you have to pay this loan and you can't afford your tuition. I'll sit with you, and I'll even pick up the breakfast tab while you're agonizing and complaining about it. But this is a choice you're making, and here we go. And here's this option right here.
Well, I think her mother is suggesting taking on the payment herself, and we just don't think that that's a great idea. Of course, it's not necessarily our business to be in her finances. But again, we would just prefer, I feel like this is a teachable moment for her, because I didn't have the financial knowledge at that age that I wish I had. So, yeah.
It's a teachable moment, but I there's just something about a 16-year-old caught between two households. And if I don't do this, then I'm going to do this. My mom's going to feel like I'm doing this just for dad and my stepmom, and that means I'm being disloyal to. I mean, you're asking a lot of a 16-year-old trapped between these two homes. And so it is a teachable moment, but when you're in a split house like this, those teachable moments, I mean, they spread out over years. And I never want to sacrifice a relationship in this moment for two different values in a household, unless there's something about safety, right?
Right.
I would probably dig my heels in on, BioMom wants to give my kid a smartphone and I'm saying no, I'd probably throw a fit about that. Or BioMom lets me drink at home and I'm only 14, I'd throw a fit about that. In terms of your mom wants to take out a loan, we don't think that's wise, but we know you love your mom, and here's what we're willing to do if you want to do that. And do your best not to throw this child's mother under the bus, because this child will always look in the mirror and know half of me is her. And if she's dumb, if she's making bad choices, then that means I'm dumb. And that's a lot to put on a 16-year-old.
Right. I agree.
Yeah, and Jamie, and I think your heart in those, what you call teachable moments, I think what John just said, I think that is one. And I think sitting down and being honest with your 16-year-old without, running her mom into the ground by any means, but just to say, hey, here's what we've realized about money. Here's things that we've learned, and that could be everything from budgeting, that could be whatever it is. And to say, and we've just realized, here's what debt does to us. And as a family, we've realized, man, it puts stress on us. Even your husband saying, golly, I would lose sleep at night thinking about the bills that had to be paid. We've just realized life has so much more peace when there's not debt. So regardless of what happens with your mom and the car and all of that, just know from us, from Jamie and her dad, this is where we stand, and this is why we stand here, and we want to walk with you and be there for you. But from a wisdom perspective, when it comes to money, we believe that this is the best way to handle money, and there's a reason why. And
Dave's talked about this in his personal life, and I love this story that he had a close buddy show up, and Dave's a car guy, and he had a close buddy show up with just a masterpiece of a car, and then he was bragging about it was his new lease. And his buddy's Dave Ramsey. And what did Dave do? He's like, let's go check out this car in my driveway. I want to go see it. Dave didn't turn around and lecture him about it. So if your 16-year-old decides to get this new car that mom wants to buy and finance for her and pick up the payments on, and she brings that car into your driveway, make the first thing you do not, well, is that about payments? Say, hey, baby, show me your new car, and run out and look at it. And don't sacrifice relationship right now, because this, again, she's caught in the middle. Let's lean on relationship whenever possible.
Great. Thank you so much for your help.
You got it.
Absolutely.
Thanks for thinking through that. That gets messy.
Yes, I know. Well, and with that mentality of the kids that are stuck ping-ponging between, right? It is so easy to get caught in the middle. And for parents, how important is it to protect your kids in that and to set them up well?
Well, and I can also see BioMom saying, y'all aren't buying my daughter a car. Like, that's my job, and I don't have the money to do it, so I'm going to do it like this. Or she's getting her esteem because her daughter's going to drive car X. There's so many variables here that 16-year-old has no business wading through.
Yep.
And I never, in a divorced household, I never want a kid to feel like I'm being disloyal to one parent.
Yes.
Which they do. I'm never sacrificing my values. I just don't want them in that mess. And so the best adults can agree together. Man, that's so good. And if they can't, let's figure out the path of least resistance there.
Yep, so helpful. All right, up next we have Will in Atlanta. Hey, Will, welcome to the show.
We're up against the clock, man. Let's go quick.
Hi. Okay, let me get right to my question. So at the end of every month, I have a little bit of space left in my budget. I just want to know, what should I do with that little bit of space?
Do you have debt right now?
No, ma'am, no debt.
No debt. Do you have an emergency fund?
Yes, ma'am.
Nice. Are you on so you're on babies? It's 4, 5, and 6. Are you funding retirement?
I'm signing up for my 403B next month.
Oh, good for you. Do you have kids?
No.
No. Do you have a house? All the questions.
I'm renting an apartment right now.
Good. Okay. That's awesome,
I think you put it in an envelope and send it to attention Rachel Cruz at the Ramsey Solution building.
Ramsey Solutions. I'll take that extra cash.
She's got a car fund she's trying to put money into.
No. So yeah, Will, at this point, how much did you say you have extra per month?
Usually comes out to about like $60 at the end of the month. It's
Okay.
like I spend $5 less than I allocate for groceries every week or something like that.
Oh, good for you. Down to the penny. That's awesome.
Will.
So, Will, I mean,
Incredible.
honestly, I mean, the 60, I would say, yeah, if there's a little bit, if you want to up your out to eat by some, you're to the point that you're funding retirement. You don't have a mortgage right now. So the next big thing that you'd save for is probably a house. So if that is something you want to look into and say, hey, I'm going to put some of this money away in a high yield savings and I'm just going to be diligent with it, that's great. But it's $60.
It's not a ton of money.
Yeah, so it's not $600 a month, which, you would look at and say, okay, what are we going to do? So you could up your lifestyle up a little bit, Will, if you want. Enjoy a little bit of that 60.
Or I've heard
put it away.
people say you get wealthy $10 at a time. So
Yeah,
put it
or
in
the
a high yield
60
savings account.
could go there.
Put it away.
So
Good for
either
you.
way, but you're doing great. Nothing major on fire right now, Will. Well done. Well done. Well, that wraps up the show. Thanks to all the guys in the booth. John, thank you for hosting. Thank you, America, for listening. This is The Ramsey Show. Hey, it's Rachel Cruz. If you love the show and want a deeper dive on your money journey, we have a weekly newsletter that gives you trending and helpful articles and tips on following the Ramsey way. Just go to RamseySolutions.com today to sign up for our newsletter. Again, that's RamseySolutions.com to sign up for our weekly newsletter. Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, it's The Ramsey Show, where we help people build wealth, do work that they love, and create actual healthy relationships. I am Ramsey personality Rachel Cruz, hosting this hour with Ramsey personality Dr. John Deloney. And it is a free call anywhere in America to talk about, again, your life and your money at 888-825-5225. So give us a call. All right, to start us off this hour, we have Joshua in Baltimore. Hey, Joshua, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I'm a huge fan. My question is, though, I'm 25 years old. I just graduated college from the illustrious Morgan State, and I have about $17K saved up. But I got myself into a car loan. I didn't need one, but I just needed a car at the time. It's about $28,000, and my student loan just started, so that's about $28,000 too. So my question is, which one should I pay down first? I'm trying to follow the debt snowball thing that you guys talk about.
Yeah.
So should I pay down the student loan first or the car first? Because I was thinking about getting a second job.
Yeah, good for you, Joshua. How did you save up $17,000 as a recent college grad?
So I'm an engineer. I had a job with the construction company before I graduated. So since student loan was on the freeze, I was just saving up my money as much as I can. I normally save up about close to $2K every month, and I just kept on saving from there from November all the way through April before they released me. So, but I have a good amount saved up. I didn't really need to get the car, but I was like, at the time I just got in an accident, so I really needed the car at the time. So I was thinking if I should maybe just sell the car and take it to auction, but I wanted to know, Shy.
Yeah, how much
Can
is
I
that?
just
How much is
keep
that car worth?
It's worth $26,000.
Oh, yeah.
I would sell it today.
Gosh,
man.
Joshua, I think I would sell it.
I'd sell it right now. And even if you have to take $1,000 or $2,000 to close it out, I would do that. And dude, you cut your debt load in half. And I'd probably take $10,000 of that $17,000 and go buy a car, and take the rest of it and start paying those student loans off.
Okay, that's okay.
So if it's 26, you'll pull 2,000 out of your 17,000, so you'll have 15,000 left. Yeah, go take 8, 9, 10,000. As cheap. Honestly, Joshua, at this point, I'm like, I would just get as cheap of a car as possible. I mean, that's going to run and that's reliable and all of that. And then throw the rest at your debt, because you could, depending on the car you buy, I mean, within 30 days, you could have just $20,000 left of student loans to pay. And with the rate that you save, I mean, you'll be able to knock that out. Are you in a different job though? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I am, because they released us in April. So
okay.
I work for I'm a field engineer. I work for a new company.
Okay. And how much do you make a year?
81.
Oh, good for you. And is that less than what you were making at your other job or more?
No, it's $1,000 more than I was making my other job. I started my first one was like 80. This one was 81, which isn't bad. So it's an improvement.
Yeah.
So,
hey, and
grateful.
Joshua, I want you to be ready for this. They're going to clown on you when you come rolling up in a $4,500 car. They will clown on you. They will say, hey, we know what we're paying you. What are you doing? And you can just smile real big and say, I'm solving for freedom, guys. Ain't nobody going to own me. I'm out. I'm off. I took the red pill and the green pill. I'm out of the matrix. I'm done. And dude, because I've done it, man. I rolled up to my job as a dean of students at a law school in a $3,500 truck. And, man, we had some good, hearty laughs out in the parking lot with some of my colleagues. And,
gotcha.
Man, sure was cool never making a car payment or a truck payment. I just got out.
Yeah, because my car payment, John, is like $486 a month. But I normally pay $600 to pay down faster.
Yeah.
But I got tired of making the payments. So I just wanted to know which one would be much smarter. But I'm definitely going to take you and Rachel's advice as far as
sell that car.
Yeah, I would. And again, Joshua, definitely. I'm like, when you're looking at, kind of the math we just ran, that we're like, if you go and you take, $2,000 out of your 17 to pay the difference if you need to, you got $15,000 left. And I'm like, in a dream world, I'm like, what if you found a $5,000 car? Again, it's not a great, beautiful car, but it's something.
Yeah.
And then you take the rest of that $10,000, you're gonna have $18,000 left in your student loans. And I'm like, and if you said you were willing to work an extra job,
you're 6 months, dude.
Yeah, I mean, that's 5 months, Joshua, and you could be completely debt-free out of all this mess. And then when you stay with that intensity, you'll be able to save up a lot of cash, sell the crappy car, the $5,000 car, step up to a $10,000 car, and then you're just moving right along and continuing to save for an emergency fund.
And then in 10 years, I'm calling you and asking you for a job. You know what I'm saying? This is how, this is a 24, 36 month turnaround, but this is how family legacies are changed.
Absolutely.
Right here.
Well done, Joshua. We're excited for you.
Awesome, man.
And that's the stuff that is so exciting when you look at the specific numbers in a situation like Joshua's, and you actually put it down and you do a plan. His whole world could be different in 10 months.
Yes.
It's not that long. I mean, you could really say, oh my gosh, by summer, completely debt-free, money in the bank, a paid-for car, and you're just trucking right along versus stretching everything out, spending everything, not having saving. Right,
putting extra over here, something breaks, you got to get a credit card for that. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, and hey, all of it.
Don't underestimate. Like Rachel, we were just talking about, it's just 10 months, it can all be different. And almost every day of that 10 months is going to be miserable. It'll be hard. Your friends are going to laugh at you. That car is not going to get the gas mileage you want. It's going to smell funny. You're going to be sending all this money to your student loans. It's not going to be a pleasant ride. So trust people that you hear on the debt-free screams. Trust the millions of people who go through this program on the back end. That freedom, the lights come on in their home that they didn't even know were off, man. And so it's worth that grind to get to the other side.
Yep.
I've never had somebody, you may have, I've never had somebody go be debt-free and say, I wish I hadn't done that. I've never heard that, ever.
I know.
I've said often, I wish I hadn't eaten that second cheeseburger, or I wish I hadn't have whatever. Never heard somebody say, I wish I hadn't paid that debt.
Well, that's what I always tell people. I'm like, listen, if you hate it, if you hate being debt free, you can always get back in.
Go borrow whatever you
if
want.
that's what you choose and that's the life you want, you can always do it. But there's something about living in this mentality when you don't owe someone anything, nothing. And the autonomy, Joshua, and at your age, like you just graduated, you're an engineer, you're such a sharp guy. In this situation, I'm like, it's just a few of those decisions, painful, hard decisions sometimes when you're in the midst of it. But it's just saying, hey, this, and this for a period of time. And then you look up and, not even 10 months. And then fast forward 2 years, 3 years. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's just a completely different world versus staying in the same monotonous habit that you're just in. And that's the problem, John, I think, is that people, they're comfortable where they are. And it kind of is working. I mean, you know what I mean? Like his situation, this is a great example. I'm like, yeah, $28,000 car loan, $28,000 in student loan debt. I mean, we could kind of just truck along, pay, an extra $1,000
Here
a
or
month,
there.
and you're in it for 3-4 years. And
Oh
it's
man,
just,
I need new tires. We can just finance those. All right,
yeah,
I'll see
you just
that.
kind of
That's
like
fine.
go along. And then you look up, it's been 5 years and you're like, I've made no progress. Like,
And I dug my hole deeper, right?
yeah, that's right. That's right. So the habits, you guys, if you're not happy with the situation you're in financially, that means the way you're handling money, the way you're viewing it, it has to change. And change is uncomfortable, but change is necessary to get a different result. This is The Ramsey Show.
If you're like most people, your home is your most valuable asset. And when you want to make improvements, it can feel like everything costs too much or takes too long. But something as simple as custom window coverings from Blinds.com can completely change your space and add value to your home. We've recommended Blinds.com for over a decade, so you know you can trust them. From blinds, drapes, and shutters to motorized shades, they make it easy and affordable to upgrade your entire home, and their team is ready to help with everything from design consultation to measuring and installation. Plus, there are never any misleading quotes or hidden fees. Everything's backed by their 100% satisfaction guarantee, and shipping is always free. See why Blinds.com is the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings. Visit Blinds.com to save up to 40% off everything site-wide. Go to Blinds.com for more information.
Our question of the day comes from Neighborly. It's brought to you by Neighborly, your hub for home services. Neighborly is the place to find reliable help for your home from the most trusted locally owned businesses like Glass Doctor, Provision Garage Door Service, and Mr. Handyman. Visit neighborly.com to find home experts available to you. And we wanted to just pause for a second and just say to the Neighborly family of franchises and to the Bidwell family in particular that our hearts and our prayers go out to you guys. Mike Bidwell was a really strong leader and he's going to be missed. And we are really so incredibly sorry.
Mike was the
for your
CEO
loss.
of Neighborly.
He was, yep.
Yeah.
And he passed away suddenly. And we, this company and him and his family and everything that they've done is just absolutely incredible. And it was just a really shocking, really sad day for them. So we're thinking about you guys.
Yeah, our broken hearts are with you. Today's question comes from Deb in Texas. Deb writes, I've always tried to be organized with my finances. My husband, on the other hand, never had any control on spending. We've been married for 16 years, and I just discovered he had a Best Buy credit card balance of $10,000.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. The same card he hid from me 2 years ago. After arguing every day, he finally sat down and talked about the problem. We started the baby steps in March and did Financial Peace University with Jade. I was so happy because I started to see a change. He even cut his credit cards in one of the classes. I recently told him that I needed to add his other bank account to every dollar budget to keep track. And what came out of his mouth was, you have the other bank information. You want to have control over this one too? Once again, I feel hopeless and tired. I know that our money problems and the lack of communication will eventually kill our marriage. Actually, that's not what's going to kill your marriage. What's going to kill your marriage is you have a husband who lies to you regularly. What's going to kill your marriage is y'all have not sat down in a room with the marriage counselor and said, the marriage we had where we trusted each other, where you weren't trying to be in control of everything and y'all were partners in this thing, and he was honest and was a partner in this thing as well, that's over and we have to rebuild it. Y'all haven't done that. And so what you're doing is blaming money. What you're doing is blaming the lack of communication. Those are symptoms of two people not on the same page. And so, Rachel, this marriage is in crisis. And this is a turn all the lights on, turn the music off. We're going to counseling right now because we have to decide if we want to stay married or not.
Yeah. Well, and it's one of those things that, when you fix just the symptom and you don't fix what's really going on, it's going to bubble up, right?
Yeah.
So and that's what's happening. It's like, okay, well, we fixed that. He cut up the credit card, which is great. But understanding, we talk about this a lot on the show, is that, your money problems aren't usually money problems. It's usually marriage problems. And so the fact either couples are like, yep, you're right, we're on the same page, cut up the credit card, and we're in this together, right? So this story could have been, oh yeah, we need the other account for every dollar. Absolutely, yeah, here it is, and you keep trucking, right? There's a level of healing in just the sense of we're in this together, and you are. But when statements like this arise, and you can start to see, oh my gosh, he doesn't trust me, he doesn't want me to see something, then underneath all of that, it hasn't been fixed.
And it may not even be that he's doing something nefarious. It may mean maybe you are overbearing. Maybe you are in his business about every second of everything. And maybe he is being dishonest because he feels genuine. Like, who knows what the issue is? Right. More than likely, he's hiding things and lying to you, right? But whatever it is, you have to get to the bottom of that. And what does that sound like in real life? Let's just get brass tacks. It sounds like I will not be married to somebody who continues to lie to my face and put my family's financial future at risk, period. I will not be married to somebody who hides money from me and from our kids and who will not be in alignment with me, right? That's what we're talking about here. Yeah. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. I think that fidelity, we talk about that, cheating, if you will, we only talk about that in a did you hook up with somebody you're not married to context. Yep. I think you can cheat on your spouse with your hobbies. You can cheat on your spouse by working 100 hours a week, 160 hours a week. You can cheat with alcohol. You can be a person who does not have fidelity in a relationship with a bunch of different things. Yes. And financial infidelity is one of those things. Yep, absolutely. And sadly, it's one that we see, not crazy often, but enough to know, okay, there's stuff that is broken here. And marriage is hard, right? Stuff so hard. Always. It's so stuff hard that you're working on. But I think the point of bringing in a third party, even at this point, for Deb is what I would encourage, because obviously you guys are trying to do this on your own, which is, honorable. But also to be able to get to the root issue, I think having somebody to walk you through that, ask the right questions, pinpoint the right stuff, is really crucial. I think it's part of the healing. Here's a good analogy. If you've been fixing your roof for 16 years and it still leaks every time it rains, call a roofer. Yeah. You aren't getting the job done. Yep. For whatever reason. You don't have the skills, you don't have the expertise, whatever. You are not able to solve this problem. Get a roofer. You've been working on your marriage for 16 years. You've tried programs. You've tried shame. You've tried yelling. You've tried arguments every day. You've tried all these things. You've tried hiding money from each other. It's not working. Yep. Get a professional. So good. All right. Up next, we have Sarah in Los Angeles. Hey, Sarah. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hello. Thanks for calling. How can we help?
Long-time listener. So happy to finally get online. I have a question. So feel very blessed. We're in a good place in our lives with money. However, we have a rental property that we've owned for a while, my husband and I and our family. And a couple of years ago, we had opportunity to buy a house and remodel it in the area that we wanted. And so we did that, and we're living in that house now. And we decided to keep our old primary residence and make that into a rental, and then not sell it right away. Just hold on to it, see where we are in 2 years. And so here we are. And talking about anxiety, sometimes it does cause a little bit of anxiety because I want to be debt free, but so I just need to figure out if it's worth me paying off that house or just selling it.
Sarah, how much is the house worth?
That house is worth probably $1 million.
Okay, and what do you owe on it?
$345.
Okay, and what other debt do you guys have?
That is the only debt we have.
Just the rental property.
Other than our primary residence.
What's your primary? What mortgage do you have on that? How much do you owe on it?
$600.
Okay. How much do you guys make a year?
Between the two of us, we make about $250.
Okay.
Yeah, so
that's a lot of real estate.
No wonder you're anxious. Your body's trying to get your attention and let you know. If one of y'all says the wrong thing at work and gets fired, you lose both houses. You lose everything.
Yeah, no.
Your body would be failing you if it let you sleep through the night with $800,000 of mortgage debt spread across 2 properties. Like, it would be failing you if it let you sit present.
Close to $1 million. I mean,
close to $1 million.
600. Yeah.
It would be failing you. You hear what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know.
Your body's doing exactly what it's designed to do. It's awesome.
So tell me this. Yeah, tell me this, Sarah. What if you sold it and you clear about $600 on the rental, pay off your primary mortgage, and you have no debt?
No, I totally, every day, that's what I want.
So what keeps you to have the rental?
The emotional attachment
to the house itself.
Not emotional in the sense that we have a son, and California real estate is very expensive, and we have other family whose kids are moving away for that reason. Mm-hmm. And we have an opportunity to hold on to this house to either help him buy up into a new house to stay close to where we are. We have a very low interest rate. Luckily, when we got it, refinanced it, it was like a 3%. It's a low property rate because it's been in the family.
Yeah,
you are suffocating yourself to prop up some fantasy that may or may not happen in 10 years. Sell the house. I promise he wants a mom who's got peace in her heart and in her home more than he's going to want to buy some house in 7 to 10 years.
Yep. And if the income was a different story, Sarah, we could have a different discussion. But you guys make $250 and you have so much mortgage debt. I would get rid of it, pay off your primary mortgage, and live a peaceful life. This is the Ramsey Show.
It's a competitive home buying market, but there's a way you can get an edge. Churchill Mortgage works with you to understand your budget and your goals. And the Churchill Mortgage Home Buyer Edge offers you fast pre-approval and a secured interest rate. Plus, Churchill has bumped up their seller guarantee to $10,000, giving your offer the best chance of being accepted and helping you win in today's market. Go to churchillmortgage.com today to learn more.
Welcome back to the Ramsey Show. I'm Rachel Cruz, hosting this hour with Dr. John Deloney, and it's a free call anywhere in the country at 888-825-5225. All right, up next we have Lindsay in Chicago. Hey, Lindsay, welcome to the show.
Hi there. Thank you for taking my call.
Absolutely. How can we help?
how can I help my 82-year-old father, who is first generation here in the United States from Poland, change their mindset about money? He won't spend it. He won't enjoy it.
I think you should solve world hunger and the climate crisis first, and then you'll be prepared to do this
right?
one.
Right.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so his problem is not that he doesn't have money; it's to spend it.
Yeah, we lost my mom back in 2019, and she was the money person. He was not. He was the worker, and I had to beg him to get the daily newspaper because he loves it.
But he didn't want to pay for it.
He didn't want to pay for it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
well, can we say this real quick, Lindsay? Let's just say, this is a good problem.
Yeah,
to
usually it's
have.
the opposite.
Usually it's the opposite, and they're like, my parents have to come and live with us because they're broke. So
right.
I would say on the I don't want to say better or worse side, but we're probably on the
if you
better
have to
side.
pick a side to be on,
yeah,
yes.
I would pick your side,
Yes.
Lindsay. Just know that. Just know that.
So
Yes, I'm very grateful.
I remember being a young kid, and I went into my granddad's garage, and he had coffee cans in there. And in one coffee can were nails that he straightened. And another coffee can was just string that he picked up when he would go for his morning walks. And I remember asking my dad, why does he have cans of straightened nails and string? And he said, your granddad fought Nazis. Your granddad knows what it's like to be somewhere and they're coming for you. Your granddad went through the Great Depression. Your granddad understands, and so that stuff
understands suffering at a level that
there is no stores to buy nails at. There's no metal left to buy nails, right? And so that stuff is not just a decision at some point. That stuff gets wired into your nervous system when you're a kid. And so I'm thinking about your dad being born, in the 40s and 50s in Poland?
Well, he's first generation, born here in 41.
With,
but yes, you're same thing. Yep.
Okay, with parents that got out?
Right.
Yeah. So he's wired into his little 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5-year-old nervous system. This is how you live because it can go bad at any sec, right? And so now he's 81 in the most prosperous time in human history. And his daughter's like, Dad, will you buy a Coke, right? What do you want him to spend money on?
Vacations, or if I can find an example like the newspaper that he loves so much, maybe magazines or crossword puzzles or, something to keep his brain active.
What is he?
How much money does he have?
Okay.
And you may not even know.
160. I'm the person. 160 in cash, and 30 in a 401k.
Okay, so he doesn't have a lot, right?
No, but 400 in a paid-off house. So it's.
So his house is paid off. He doesn't have many expenses.
Right. He's got no debt. He's got very little expenses, electric, and that's it. The property taxes are reasonable.
And what's he living off of? This 160?
Social Security.
Okay.
Only.
Yeah.
Well, and so to be stark, he is one heart episode away. He can burn through 160 plus 30 in an afternoon in an ER.
Okay.
And so his tentativeness is too far. Like, buy a newspaper for crying out loud.
Right.
And also...
Right.
We don't need to go take a $20,000 vacation.
Yeah, he doesn't have. It's not like I thought you were going to tell me he had $1 million, and I would say, he needs to go on a vacation. It might be that you're struggling with. Your dad has worked really hard his whole life.
Yes.
And you want him to have some peace and some smiles. And it might be you putting together a cool, non-expensive thing. Because my guess is the thing that would bring him the most joy at this stage in life is seeing his baby girl smile from ear to ear.
Wow, yeah. And I'm a single mom, so I have a 6-year-old. So
does he love that 6-year-old?
Yes. Oh, yes.
So what if you said, what if instead of trying to make him spend money that he's uncomfortable spending, what if you sat down and said, hey, my 6-year-old loves spending time with you. Can we make that a regular monthly thing that you can both look forward to?
Oh, that's
you're talking about magic. We go for a walk at a golf course and steal golf balls. Would you go to the zoo? Like, just make up crap that a 6-year-old's going to like, that 6-year-old's going to tell at his funeral when he's 26 and your dad passes away.
Wow, right.
Does that make sense?
It sure does. It's deep and profound, and I love it. But
I want everyone listening. You didn't want him to spend money. You want to see your dad happy. And for you, happiness is with a really nice vacation. For your dad, happiness is going to be, my parents survived hell and got us over here, and I've scratched and clawed to get to this moment. The thing that brings me the most joy is my baby girl being happy and my grandbaby being real, real happy.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And if we put it on the schedule, then everybody knows it's here and everybody's looking forward to it. That's a great, great idea. Yeah. And even if it's walking in the forest, picking up string.
and tell your 6-year-old, hey, y'all have to get 15 mushrooms and 15 rocks before you come back in the house. All right, let's do it.
Oh, that's great.
Whatever it is. It can be bananas.
That's great.
But it's about their time together, which will be fun.
Right. That's excellent.
Hey, he won the freaking lottery when he got you as his daughter, by the way.
Oh, my gosh. You are so nice.
I'm not, actually. I'm kind of a jerk, but I tell the truth. And he did really good by you. That's awesome.
Oh, so great, Lindsay. I'm so glad you called because I think that's a great example of you're looking at a situation thinking money's the avenue. But it's a tool, sure, in life to create things and create memories and experiences and all of it. But really, though, what people are searching for is peace, searching for joy, searching for happiness, connection, relationship, all of that. And so, Lindsay, I'm so glad that you called in because I think that's just it's a good wake-up call and example of what people are longing for truly in life.
Well, and a few years ago, so this is our story in our house. A few years ago, we got on a real big kick to pay some stuff off. We're going to be not gazelle intense. We were rocket ship intense, kind of insane.
Yeah.
But we had to get away. We have little kids. And so we jokingly went to a KOA and we invited a friend of ours and their kids. It was so fun. Now it's become an annual state park adventure. We go to state parks all over, but we realize the time together and the convenience and the silliness, whether we're overseas or whether we're right here for that particular vacation. Now, I'm all about going overseas and doing that wild stuff. But for the purpose of this vacation, it's been magic. And if we hadn't have done it at the beginning, we would have thought the only way to vacation, the only way to peace is this $20,000 vacation.
Totally.
Man, for $400, for $300, you can have like wild fun time with your kids.
Good time. And another part of her call, John, was about how do I change my dad's mindset?
You don't.
You don't. Yeah.
You don't.
But that part, a lot of people, again, they may not be in Lindsay's situation. We're like, I just want my parents to enjoy life more and spend. But it's the opposite. It's like, how do I control my parents? How do I tell my parents to handle their money better? How do I get them to do X, Y, and Z? Maybe not even in the money space, but you're thinking about that. But yeah, so talk about that for a second on you can't change your parents' mindset. Here's what many parents long for. They long to matter to their kids. A great gift you can give your dad, well, I'm just making this up, right? Yeah.
Hey, Dad, we're thinking about getting a new car. Should we get a Chevy Silverado, a Ford F-150, or the Tundra? I'll check into it for you, right? And, hey, Dad, can you help me hang these things when you're in town? There's something about, hey, Dad, you experienced this when you were a kid. There's something, hey, Mom, can you help me think through? Give your parents a purpose. Yep. And that's the path. If there's going to be one to mind shift change, it's to them helping you out.
Yep, so good. So good. Well, again, free call anywhere in the country at 888-825-5225. We'll be back.
Well, you've all played the telephone game. The first person whispers a message to the second person, who whispers it to the third, and so on around the table until the original message has completely changed. Multiply that confusion by 100 if you run a business with different software systems that don't talk to each other. That's why there's Netsuite by Oracle. In the early days of Ramsey, we were using different systems for all of our business units. We needed one single source for accurate data. Netsuite was the software we used to optimize and take us to the next level. Netsuite gave us the visibility into all of our numbers so that we could communicate across departments and plan ahead better. And as we grew, it scaled with us. Netsuite worked for Ramsey, and it will make a difference for your business too. Join the more than 34,000 customers who trust Netsuite to help make them smarter and make better decisions and level up their operations. To learn more, get a free product tour at netsuite.com/Ramsey. That's netsuite.com/Ramsey.
Welcome back to the Ramsey Show. Up next, we have Cody in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Hey, Cody, welcome to the show.
Hey, Rachel. Hey, John. It's good to hear from you guys. I must admit it's a great birthday gift to be able to talk to you guys. I'm pretty excited.
Aww,
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Cody.
How old are you, man?
Birthday's not till tomorrow, but yeah, it's exciting for me. I've been listening. I'm a new listener, but
how old are you?
I do enjoy listening to you guys. 29 tomorrow.
Nice.
Hey, you're going to be 29 for the next 30 years of your life. Congratulations. That's awesome.
I know. That's what my mom keeps saying. She's been 29 for about 30 years or something like that.
Oh my God.
That's awesome. Yeah, she loves being 29. It's great. But,
so what's up, dude?
A bit of a two-part question for you guys, if that's okay. It's one question, but I don't even know really how to ask it in one single thing. So I bought I started a job in insurance in 2019. We moved out to Pennsylvania. My wife's family lives here, and we lived with her parents for a little while, and we had a brand new baby at the time, and that was absolutely toxic, and I had to get out of it. So we wanted to buy as well because we've been renting for so long, and at the time, like, we'll be close family, so we wanted to buy anyway just to be in the state and grow my business. But we bought a house that's more of like your first home buy. It checked all the boxes we needed, but as the last 3 years have gone on, we don't really love the house. We're realizing we like more space. We kind of think that we want to move, but the reason I have this question every time I listen to the show is because when I bought the house, I didn't have 2 years of consecutive work history because I'm self-employed. So my dad offered to put his name on the house. I know how the Ramsey family feels about. I know. Don't hurt me. But I didn't. So I've only been listening to you guys for a little bit. But I know when I listen, and I would never do it now, nor would I ever ask him to do it again. And I've already apologized to him for doing it. And he makes buckets of money out in California doing what he's doing anyway. But it's not a problem for him, and he's never paid a single dollar at all from our house, the down payment, anything. His name just had to be on the thing in order for us to get it.
Sure.
So the idea was to get the house after I worked for 2 years, refinance it. But we're sitting here now, 3 years later, and interest rates have more than tripled. So I'm like, it sounds so dumb to refinance it. I'm a little torn because I want his name off of it. Even though he doesn't need his name off of it, it's not hurting him.
Right.
The bills have never gone unpaid. We do our job, but my three options that I kind of come to are refinance or stack the deck until we're ready to get the new house, which takes some time, obviously, or just pay it off in the next 3.5 to 4 years because my income goes up quite a bit each year.
Sure.
I'm just not even sure what to do, but I'm like, is it wrong to hang him on the loan or what? But
how much do you owe on the house?
About 185.
Okay. And how much do you make a year?
Well, see, that's the thing. So my income has doubled over the last 2 years, and I get about a $40,000 increase each year. But
I would say you have the last few years, and you hope to get it in the future.
Yes.
Be very careful about making.
You guys would.
Yeah, don't make financial decisions based on this. Yeah, in 14 years, I'm going to be making. You're right. Be careful about that.
Right. Right, and that's why I don't want to go into like a really expensive house or anything. We're minimal people. We don't need a lot to be happy, but our income now, I'd say by the end of this year, we'll probably clock in just under. I'd say probably somewhere around 90. And then, because the majority of everything that I make, I get a giant bonus in January, depending on how annual enrollment period goes for Medicare, because I do mostly Medicare.
Okay.
So I get a huge influx in the beginning of the year, and then I get like a monthly payment through the rest of the year. So I have to spread it out. I'm good at saving because I have to spread myself out in order to live. So
sure.
After that point, it really
do you guys have any other debt, Cody?
No other debt. Well, all right, that's a lie. We have a car that's going to be completely paid off in January. Well, in December, it's going to be paid off.
Okay.
Completely. So other than that, we just have a house.
Okay. And you said I've done the math. I cut you off, but.
Well, after I've done the math, and I know John just corrected me not to do that, but I've done the math in a conservative manner as though I'm going to be increasing my income only half of what I've been increasing it the last 3 years, at about a $20,000 increase, because I like to do my numbers extremely conservatively.
Sure.
And it should only take us about 3 to 4 years to pay off the house.
I know, Cody.
I do my numbers.
I mean, honestly,
I don't know what to do. If I get his name off of it, or if there's a way to do that without refinancing. It just seems so dumb to refinance with such high interest rates right now.
Right. No, I hear you. Yeah, and I think if you talk to your mortgage broker, I mean, maybe there's a way around it. You know, there's sometimes they have different stuff, but I mean, I don't know if that's going to be a situation for you. But I mean, there's a part of me, Cody, and I'm going to just say it, that I'm like, listen. You're not going to have this house for 15 years. You guys have an aggressive plan.
We don't want the house.
Yeah, you have an aggressive plan to pay it off. You sound, as you're talking to us, like you're on track. There's not been a situation so far with your dad and all of that.
Go ahead, because I'm kind of burning here. Go ahead.
Go. Well, I was gonna say. I mean, like,
I want to hear the fire. Throw me down.
No, we're not gonna throw you down.
No,
I mean,
no.
I would run the math and just see, okay, how much extra? Yeah, because if your interest rate is going to be 7% versus 2% or whatever, 5%, how much extra is that? How much longer would that take you? And you guys need to really run these numbers out, and you and your wife need to sit down and ask, okay, is the extra tens of thousands, whatever it is, dollars that we're going to pay if we refinance to get him off and clean slated, what is it worth it to us? Is that because right now it doesn't sound like the relationship is overly strained. It doesn't sound like he's a toxic person because there are people that call Cody. Listen though. And it goes down the drain, right? This is why we tell people not to do this, because it can go down the drain really, really fast. And so if you were in a situation, and we get this a lot, where it's like, oh my gosh, her name's on it, and she's doing this and wanting this and telling me here, and it's just a disaster. I would be like, no, and I would get out of it no matter the interest rate because of the toxic relationship. But what you're saying is you're in Pennsylvania, he's in California. You guys seem that it's okay. Like you guys, from a relationship standpoint, there hasn't been this big, explosion, and you're going to pay it off in 3 years. So all of that, I would be comfortable, Cody, if you just keep going down the track and pay it off in 3 years and be done with it. Again, if the timeline was different, if the relationship was different, my answer probably would change.
Yeah, I hear one word coming through.
Pay it off when we don't really.
I know, but listen, I hear one word, and that is ego. You said it. You said it while Rachel was talking. I just want this personal accomplishment, bro. You took out a loan with your daddy's signature on it. It would almost be irresponsible right now for you to flex your ego to the tune of however many thousands of dollars that your ego would cost you. And to keep going, your ego says, I just got a $40,000 raise. I'm going to get a $40,000 next year and a $40,000 the year after that and a year after that. What you haven't experienced is there is usually, when you get into an industry, there's a low bar, and then you do a really great job and you go way up and then you go way up again, but it does begin to plateau. And while we're at it, your ego says, I make $90,000 a year. We don't need this little house. We need something that better reflects us. And so what I want you to do is to take your ego and put it in a drawer and say, what is best for our family right now in this season? And let's go from there, because I'm super nervous that you have gone over the next 5 years and given yourself a $40,000 raise in your mind, put that on paper, and you and your wife have talked about the house you could afford. And I think that's not real. And that you've reverse engineered that fantasy all the way back to this discomfort with your dad's name is still on your loan.
Well, I have to admit, we're really not. We bought this one at 185, and we're actually thinking of coming closer to you guys, Tennessee, Arkansas. And with what we're looking at, it really would only run somewhere between 200 to 250, which is what our house is kind of going for right now.
Okay, so you'd keep that flat, which would be awesome. Good for you. And y'all are moving. That's awesome too. I'm with Rachel. I would ride this thing out. It sounds like your dad's a great guy and is not abusing this relationship. I would ride this out until y'all are committed to what your next steps are.
Yep.
And I just paid the sucker off.
Yep. Thanks, America, for listening. Thanks to all the guys in the booth. And John, this is The Ramsey Show.
Hey, it's Dr. John Deloney. If you love the show and want a deeper dive on your money journey, we have a weekly newsletter that gives you trending and helpful articles and tips on following the Ramsey way. Just go to RamseySolutions.com today to sign up for our newsletter. Again, that's RamseySolutions.com to sign up for our weekly newsletter.
Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, it's The Ramsey Show, where we help people build wealth, do work that they love, and create amazing, healthy relationships. I am Rachel Cruz, joined this hour by Dr. John Deloney, and we're taking your calls from anywhere in the country at 888-825-5225. So give us a call, and we will help you hopefully through a situation that you have. All right, coming up next, we have Kelly in Savannah, Georgia. Hey, Kelly, welcome to the show.
Hey, how are y'all?
We are doing great. How can we help?
I was calling because I'm trying to figure out, I'm currently in baby step 2, and I'm trying to figure out if it's okay for me to move now, or should I wait until I'm out of baby step 2?
Okay. How much longer do you have in baby step 2?
Maybe about 4 or 5 months.
Okay. And what's the current living situation that you're in that you're wanting to move?
I am a single mom. I had to move back with my mom a couple of years ago, and I'm sharing a room with my 2 sons, and it's getting a little cramped. And,
wow. Yeah. That's like being in a blender without the top on, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you have, Kelly, do you have good margin to be able to afford, rent for, I wouldn't buy anything right now, but if you go and look at an apartment or a condo or something, are there places in your area that you feel like you could afford?
There is. I mean, all of the places are kind of expensive, so it would make it very tight for me. So, like, moving fast through baby step 2 wouldn't really happen too quickly. But, I mean, I would be able to, move out and afford to live on my own.
What about a finish line? Like
like if you knew by January.
Yeah. Kelly looks in the mirror and says, Kelly, January 1, we move out, and we move out debt-free. Most of us can put up with just about anything, as the great Nietzsche says, if we have a big enough why. I've got to get out of here. I want to preserve my relationship with my kids. I want to preserve my relationship with my mom. I want to preserve my sanity. And also I want to get out of debt. So I'm going to put a clock on this thing, and we are out of here January 1, and we're out of debt. Would that give you some peace to do both things, or do you need to go right now?
I think I can hold off.
Yeah. How long have you been in it, Kelly? How long have you been in this living situation?
For about 5-6 years now.
Okay. So you've done it, right? So I mean, you've proven that for 5. That's a long time. But also 5 years versus 4 months. It shows, you know what I mean? Like that you have the stamina. You've been doing it for 5 years. So you can hold your breath for 4 more months to get through it, would you say?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And
now,
here's what I
complete the 3. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, like, my conversations when I've sat down with single moms over the years, one of the pervasive feelings that I hear them explain to me, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but it's just this sense of looming dread over the house. This what next? Mm-hmm. I only have this much time. I only have this much margin. We've got so little money. There's just this pervasive air in the house that is heavy and laden with angst. And there's something. Yeah. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. So what if you focused on what is the air going to feel like in our apartment when we move out? And you could move out today. Like you said, you could cover the bills. But you know as well as I do, you'd be covering them with, it would be like playing Twister, and you would have one foot on one corner and another foot on the other corner. You'd be so spread thin. And those little boys, you know what they're going to do? They're going to act like little boys. And they're going to break stuff. They're going to get in trouble. They're going to run around because they're little boys. That's what they're designed to do. And think about it. What if you moved into that apartment in January and you owed nobody anything? And it gave you that
sounds wonderful.
That deeper air to breathe. So that might mean you're going to miss some little league games or some soccer games or whatever because you're going to work a second job. But I would love to see you put a clock on it. Get out of there debt free. You've been there 5 years. It's time to go. We all know that. Your mama's ready for you to go.
Yeah.
Everybody's ready for you to go.
Yeah.
But let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's not jump out of the frying pan into a fire. Let's jump out of the frying pan into now it's time. How's that sound?
Right. That sounds great.
I love that. I mean, you can do what you want, but that's what I'd recommend.
Yeah, absolutely. And unless, Kelly, something drastic changed in the recent, few months or weeks that you feel in danger, like, right, if there's something there that you're like, no, I need to get out for the safety and the health of my family, then that's one thing. But if it's just that you're almost there, you're 4 months away and you're just exhausted, you're like, can I just jump the gun? Go ahead and get out. Even though it may stretch all this a little bit longer, I would push you, stay in it. You've done it for 5 years. You can continue to do it for 4. And you got this, Kelly. Being a single mom, it is it's a heroic role that you're in. And there's a lot of moms out there and a lot of dads as well. But man, it's really tough. And I really believe, though, Kelly, you've done this. You've done it so far. I'm like, you have 4 months left. Like, you can do this.
So close.
And the piece that John's talking about that happens when you actually can do it and you're not stressed to your limit of trying to figure out how to pay this rent. When you have no payments leaving, no debt, all that extra margin, then you'll be able to live in there, pay the rent, and enjoy life. So, John, we're doing a first ever money and marriage event.
Yes.
Live here, yes. A full weekend. We've never done this. We've done some live streams. We've done some evenings around the country, even before COVID. And then we decided, gosh, this has been an event that a lot of people tune into for the live stream. So let's make it not just an in-person event, but a full weekend experience. So the first ever money and marriage getaway is October 19th through the 21st. And you and your spouse will come together, and John and I are the main teachers of the whole weekend. We have some special guests that will be coming in and out, but we're going to spend a whole weekend together, you guys, and really dive in and help you with your family, with goals, with your money, with your relationships, with your intimacy. We're going to touch on every area of your marriage and give you the tools to walk away, not just inspired and growing and learning new things, but actually what to do when you get home. And so that's a real big thing for us. We want to give you tactical things as you continue to grow. And we've talked to people that have already, paid and they're coming. And some of our team has done some calls with them just to kind of understand who's the audience. And it's so great because, all of them, they're like, we just want to grow. We just want to learn. So if you're one of those people that's like, I just want to continue to do better in areas of my life, well, when it comes to your money and your marriage, this is your weekend. So,
and by the way, Rachel, and I know you get this too, people reach out from all over the country saying, hey, could I get an hour with y'all?
Yes.
Would you be my coach for my family, for my husband, for my wife? This is it.
Yep, that's it.
You and I will be there for 2.5 straight days. We'll have Q&As. We'll have access. We'll have meals together. We will be in this together.
Yep. So we're hanging out with you. Go to RamseySolutions.com/events to get your tickets to Money and Marriage, October 19th through the 21st. Welcome back to the Ramsey Show. We are taking your calls, America. And up next, we have Kate in Philadelphia. Hey, Kate, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for taking my call. So excited to talk with you both.
Oh, glad you're here, Kate. How can we help?
So my husband and I have been debt-free since 2020. We paid off $120,000 of my student loans.
Good for you.
And currently, thank you. And currently we're kind of on 3B. We're saving. We actually own a small home in the city, and we're trying to save for a larger home, like thinking of starting a family and moving to the suburbs. So recently, I guess my question is more pertaining to a trust fund that we were recently blessed with. It's $1 million, and we're trying to figure out how we use that blessing and apply it into like our baby steps, or if we save it for our kids' future, or if we're supposed to use it for our home. So we'd just love to hear your advice.
Yeah, that's great. So you guys are on baby step 3B. You're saving up for a home.
Yes. We currently have $80,000 saved outside of our emergency fund. We make about $185 a year.
$185 a year. That's awesome.
So before this $1 million showed up,
yeah,
what houses were y'all looking at?
Well, so we got married in 2021, and about a week before our wedding is when we had found out about it.
Okay.
And then we're 30 now, and so once you turn 30 is when you're able to draw from it for major purchases like a house or a car. Yeah.
Because my tendency right out of the gate
is... It's not going to make us get $1 million house by any means.
Well, and that's would be like, hey, we're looking at $250,000 or $300,000 houses. We got $1 million. Let's look at $2 million houses, right? So it can get out of whack really quick. So that's why I was asking that question. But y'all have known about this for a while.
Yeah, and our first thought was almost to ignore it like it didn't exist, because we were like, okay, let's just keep going with our plan, because we both drive beat-up cars, like 2005 Toyota Camry, and like have a really small row home in Philly, and we're totally okay like living this way. We like love our life, but I'm just curious about how much better of a home we could get and maybe not have to move again, like kind of in a quicker amount of time.
Yeah.
Thinking about our future.
Where did the trust come from, Kate?
My very generous and hardworking father-in-law.
Okay. So it's your father-in-law's. That's great. And where is the money? I know it's in a trust, but is it
managed by? Yeah, it's managed like in a mutual fund.
It's in a mutual fund. Okay.
With a management group that they use.
Perfect. And so you're making money on that because it's in the market, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. It's growing, which is awesome. So yeah, Kate. I mean. Yeah, it's one of those things that, you guys, as you and your husband, and you've done this well already, I think there's like this dignity piece to you all to know that, hey, regardless of this $1 million or not, we're going to be okay. We're going to save. We've saved y'all saved $80,000. You're debt free. You're working towards a home. And so being in that mindset, I think, is really important just for you and your husband. For longevity, right? And it doesn't sound like you guys obviously are fishing for money, or that this trust fund, dropped, and you're like, finally, we get to go buy the yacht that we've won. It's not this air about you. But I think that's the encouraging piece, though, is that you and your husband, y'all are okay, right? Regardless of this money or not. So then I think from there, since that's established, to be able to say, okay, out of this $1 million, how much would we have to take out of this trust to get the kind of house that, like what you're saying, maybe could last us a little bit longer than just the starter home we were looking at. So for you guys in Philadelphia, have you priced anything that, you have your starter home that you guys were saving for, and then you have this trust now?
We live in a home now that's, it's probably worth like $320 something.
Okay.
I think we owe still like $260 on it. We bought it shortly after, like 2020. We saved a bunch of money, paid off the end of my student loans, and then saved for our down payment, and then got this house.
Okay. How's the house now? Yeah, it's small. Do you guys have kids?
No, just a dog that we act like is our child. But.
Yeah, that's fair. I think we all do. Okay, so were you guys looking to move? Were you wanting to move before this trust? Well, you guys, I guess, already knew about the trust, but I'm just wondering if you guys
in our timeline. So we want to probably start a family in the next year or so. So looking to maybe have our house in the next year or so.
Okay,
but we could be very patient and aren't trying to like jump at the next house or anything by any means.
Sure, totally.
Let's reverse engineer this. If your father-in-law was alive today,
Yep.
What would he want to spend money on? Oh, he is.
He is alive.
Yeah.
He is. Okay, gotcha. Sorry.
I didn't say that. But
He is. Okay. I thought he passed away and left
and
this money to
we
you.
actually can meet with him, and we are meeting with him next week to talk about it, to be more open about it, because I've always kind of felt a little shy about it, because we manage our money together, but I'm the spreadsheet person. So when I found out about it, really wanted to know more about how we could apply it to things, but I didn't want to kind of jump in and be like, okay, how can we? So it's been, we've been married 2 years now. We're going to
you've been very respectful about
my impulse is, since he's still alive, this makes this a little more awkward, but he didn't put any restrictions on it. He didn't put any other than 30, right? He didn't put any to be used for a house or for med school or anything like that. He just said, when you turn 30, here's $1 million.
Right.
And so part of me says, what do we think would be his dream wishes? That he would want us to have a paid-for house to start our life and our family with? Because if so, let's pull out $300,000 of that. Let's sell our house, or $400,000 of that. Let's buy a $500,000 house or a $600,000, not a crazy house, and in the Philadelphia area. And let's honor him by being a good steward of this money. And let's put the rest of it. We've already got the college fund taken care of, right, for our kids, or whatever that thing is. With him being here, my hesitancy to go ask him is you invite him to become a co-steward of the money, and it's real easy for him to say, hey, this is my money that I gave you, and y'all need to be spending it on X, Y, and Z. And that stipulation doesn't exist now. And so I'd hesitate to
I don't know, if I would
bring it
ask
into the
him,
world.
But you could, Kate, you and your husband sit down and, what John's saying, I think having a house that's paid, I think living a life without debts and then being able to change your lives and your kids' lives and all of this, using this money as a tool to do that is a very honorable thing. And so I do wonder, if you guys say, if you and your husband agree, let's pull out 300 of this or 400 of this. We're going to leave some of it in the market because we don't need it right now. But once we have a kid, we're going to pull some of that out to start a fund. You kind of have a little bit of a game plan, and you and your husband agree and shake hands. This is what we want to do as our family. And then I think it would be I don't know what your father-in-law's like, but I do think it's a kind gesture just to be like, hey, I'm not asking you, but we are so grateful for this, and we're so excited about the next step. And we are excited to say that, we're going to take some of this and we're going to buy a house debt-free, and we were going to use some for college. You know what I mean? Kind of tell them your plan just for, I would think if I'm a parent and I do something like that, and your kids are responsible, mature, and they come back and wow, here's what I'm doing to multiply and to be wise about it. Do you know what I mean? There's something honoring about that. If y'all want to, I don't think you have to, but
no. And he's they're both just my parent-in-laws are just the sweetest people ever, and they would have the best conversation, and I'm sure that they would be very respectful of it. I guess that would make me feel better about it, because I think my inkling is I would like to almost just have a paid-for house and start that way, but I would be very anxious about just pulling that amount definitely without a conversation.
So let me say it this way, and this is probably worth a can of beans, right? But if I gave my son, who was 30, $1 million, and he had just been married, and they'd been busting their butt, and they'd paid off their student loans, and they had put some money away for a house, and they were talking about starting a family, and my son came and sat down with me over, I'm going to get all choked up, geez Louise, and he came and sat down over coffee with me, he was an old man, and he said, hey, Dad, I just bought a house with cash, and I just I put it as what I could in a long-term savings account, which for college. So for our two kids, college is covered. And that's because of your generosity. And now I can spend my life not catching up, but I can spend my life creating trusts for my kids that will be $1 million. Thank you. Right. I would weep if my son used that money in that way, to use it as a springboard into him, like you said, multiplying it for his kids.
Yep.
And so I love the idea of you getting a house, a reasonable house, paying it off, starting your whole life with no debt. Man, that just sounds amazing.
It's amazing.
It's
so
awesome.
Great, Kate. You guys are wise, kind people. So I'm excited for you. Thanks for the call. This is The Ramsey Show. So student loans have been in the news often, a lot recently, because payments start back next month, you guys. Interest has kicked in and people are feeling the toll. And there's a article, John, and I thought it was a really interesting one. Austin, our producer, pulled it, but talking about how student loan debt takes a toll on vulnerable population's mental health. And it tells a story of Melanie. She's 38 now, but she wanted to be a university theater professor. So she got her PhD, and she was just rock and rolling. But then the Great Depression hits in the late 2000s, and she couldn't find work. And so by 2012, her undergrad and master's degree loans totaled $81,000 with $900 payment a month. And so she briefly was on food stamps, depleting her savings. She was sharing a one-room apartment. And so all of this was going. So then it leads in, the article starts talking about the anxiety and the shame that starts getting wrapped around people that have this amount of debt. They're feeling this. And, we look at this, the loan debt average is $37,000 per borrower in America today. And so that's where we're at. And what's fascinating is now science coming out and saying, and studies are now showing that that your money, your debt levels do have a direct effect on your mental health.
Yeah, and let's just call a spade here. This person it's kind of a case study that leads into a broader conversation about mental health and student loan debt. But this student got a PhD in performance studies, wanted to be a university professor. So is that wise, right? Is that wise? Probably not.
Probably not the wisest.
That's an
degree
$80,000 degree, but also had a very clear direction in mind. And here's what she says, and what she says is actually very true. Students are told an untrue narrative. If you work hard in school, you'll be able to pay back your loans. If you take out these loans and get this PhD, get this master's, get this degree and whatever, you will be able to get a job that pays them back. And that's not true. Mm-hmm. Now, I do have colleagues across the country, like in history departments and English departments, that will tell their incoming students, especially PhD students, you will not get a job as a university professor. Just so you know. There will be 4 openings next year across America, and there's a lot of Stanford and Harvard grads. It won't be you. Yeah. Right? They do. They're being as candid as they can.
Honest,
But these students keep showing up, and they keep showing up. But the narrative globally is, if you just go borrow this money and get through college, you'll be great.
And you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay.
And then you increasingly talk to marginalized populations who have not been told in history, like, this is a path. And now they're being told, this is the only path. Go. And they don't have parents that went to college. And so they don't know how to navigate this system. And so they're sitting in front of the student loan counselor, signing their life away.
Yep.
Because they just want to do what's right. And I'm just going to follow this plan. And now, the Journal of Addictive Behaviors in April 2023 followed 331 college graduates, which is a small study, but it's an important start. And they linked high debt levels with problematic drinking, anxiety, and depression, especially among the most economically insecure graduates. And let's be honest, this makes sense.
Yeah.
Your brain's going to sound the anxiety alarms if you're not safe. And if you owe a whole bunch of money and you can't pay your bills, you're not safe, right? But it found 1 in 14 participants within the group. Another study found 1 in 14 participants in a group of a couple thousand loan borrowers reported having suicidal thoughts that they attributed to being trapped. I can't get out of this. My best option is just to cash out. This stuff is not just a political football to be thrown back and forth. Student loan debt is crushing young men and women. It's crushing adults who went back to school, and it is really devastating people's mental and emotional health, their relational health. This is for real.
Yep.
It's for real, and it's scary. If you were wondering if this is you, like you were starting to feel that panic, that burnout feeling, that chronically stressed feeling, that anxious feeling, we do have an anxiety test. It's not diagnostic by any stretch of the imagination. You take this test and it's not going to tell you you have anxiety. What it is going to tell you is, hey, here's the areas in your life that you should pay attention to. Rachel and I took this test. If you're interested, RamseySolutions.com/anxiety test. But you took the test and I took it too, and it's very instructive. Very instructive.
It's really good. Yeah. So the areas that the test hits on is connection, freedom, mindfulness, health and healing, belief, and reality. And these are the parts of your new book, How to Build a Non-Anxious Life, that comes out October 3rd. And so, you can go online at RamseySolutions.com/anxiety test, and you can take it for free. So, John,
what did yours say?
We just did it. Well, it's the results. You get all the areas, right? And that it? Okay. So let's go through them. So mine, connection was yellow, which I was kind of shocked by. Yeah. I feel like I'm very connected with people.
I think you communicate a lot.
Your body.
But you probably don't have a lot of people that you can be completely open with.
I do, though. That's my thing.
But
I got my 4 people. Yes, I got my 4 people.
I don't believe you.
We have 3 couples. I was like, we genuinely, I feel very... No, not by a lot, though. I mean, I have a lot of friends.
Sure.
But there's those 4 that know everything. So God bless them. So, but apparently I'm yellow.
Okay.
And I'm going to trust it.
All right.
I'm going to trust it because I can also think glass half full a lot about life.
Yep.
So anyway, so it says your score, your body, it might be nudging you to get your attention in this area. So that's yellow. My other yellow score was mindfulness.
And mindfulness is about 2 words, curiosity and awareness.
Okay.
Do you go to judgment real quick?
Okay.
Or do you...
I'm very Ted Lasso-esque.
When Winston leaves towels on the floor, do you say, oh my gosh, Winston, why did you leave? Or do you think, what must have happened in his day?
Yeah. No.
That's how he, something must be going on because he knows I care about this. In one of those, your body goes to war. In one of those, your body goes to empathy, and let's support this thing.
See, I feel like I'm a very empathetic person. I'm obviously not very self-aware.
Just agree to disagree.
Apparently not. I mean, I don't know. I maybe it is. I mean, I can be more black and white in thought.
No, do tell.
Oh my gosh.
Really?
Okay.
All right, so here's
Next
mine.
is mine. Well, hold on.
Oh, yours are green. The rest are green.
The rest are green. Hold on, let me go through my greens.
You're a very non-anxious person.
My reality is green. My freedom is green, and my health and healing are green. Okay.
Yeah. So you see a counselor. You don't owe anybody any money.
Yeah.
You're a board member at a super successful company. Yeah, of course. Those things are going to be great.
Oh, my gosh.
You take care of yourself. You've been working out with Winston. Y'all are getting after it.
Yeah, we do. We are working out.
Yeah.
6 weeks in. Okay,
mine,
go.
So I'm in the middle of a book tour. I'm traveling all over. I'm running.
So this does change.
Oh, absolutely. It's
seasonal.
seasonal.
For season. Oh, I can't wait about yours. Stressful John.
But
please
I
go,
want to point this out.
John.
So,
Freedom Rachel's here. But stressful John to the right of me.
Mine actually started flashing at me. But here's the first indicator.
Okay.
So, I've had a struggle over the last few years with my daughter. She was 5 and 6, and now she's 7. Her tiny little body identified me as not a threat. I don't yell in my house. I don't hit my kids or anything like that. But as that guy's got a lot of turmoil in his chest. I've done a lot of hard counseling over the last few years. And for the last 6 months, I'm like a jungle gym. My daughter won't get off of me. She wants to hug all the time. She wants to piggyback rides all the time. And it has been transformative in my house. And in the past couple of weeks, the old... no, Dad, and she'll run away. And I'll say, can I have a hug? And she'll just duck and move and run out the other room. And even the other morning, I'm just going to be honest, I was just crying on the way to work. I was like, my own daughter won't hug me. Then I took this quiz, and I have red for mindfulness, yellow for choosing reality, yellow for connection, yellow for choosing freedom. And if I'm honest and I really dig in, it's right. I'm in a wild season at work, and I tend to isolate myself, and there's frustrations anytime you launch something big like a book. There's frustrations, and I have to wait on another department to do a thing, so I don't have the freedom to... And I'm looking at this, and I thought, my daughter...
She's feeling it.
She felt it.
Not wild.
And that's what I'm bringing into the house. And so I need to lean into these areas so that my body can... Not all the stress is going to go away, but my body knows, okay, you're back in the driver's seat of your own life.
Yes.
Even though things are still chaotic, you're driving.
That's right.
I can turn the alarms off now.
That's right. That's right. And it's just the awareness of it. And that's the thing is I'm like, you think maybe you're aware on things, but you're not. So go to RamseySolutions.com/anxiety test. See how anxious you are. Are you more Freedom Rachel-esque? Or Or stressful judgment.
I think you need some connection and some mindfulness. Jeez Louise.
Judgment here. This is The Ramsey Show. Our scripture of the day comes from Proverbs 12:11. Those who work their land will have abundant food, but those who chase fantasies have no sense. Wow.
Fantasy sports players. That was for you.
Proverbs. All the guys doing their boards these days.
Fantasy sports.
Unbelievable.
Fantasy sports where grown men use other real grown men as imaginary action figures to play imaginary games.
Do you do fantasy football at all?
No. You know what I do? Is a drum roll, please. I go outside and I just like go fishing or play with my kids or like talk to my wife. Like
you can do all of that and play fantasy football.
But just
you know that, right?
Think of the
people probably say that about like guitars and they're like, John.
Yeah, okay, fine. But
go outside.
Think about fantasy football.
I don't really even understand it.
You know why?
Winston really doesn't do it.
Because it's not real. It's a fantasy. Where other grown men are sitting on their couches pretending they're other grown men. Look at the points I got. I'm coach of... Like, really? It's like Zelda, except with real guys. Golly, I don't understand it. Not even a little bit.
Tell us how you feel about fantasy football.
Start a softball league and go play.
Go do something.
Go jogging.
It is so interesting that this is, well, we're getting off topic, but with sports, here's my thing. I enjoy sports, right? I grew up in the South, college football.
Oh, of course, me too. I'm from Texas. I love them.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait for the fall, like all of this. But I now draw the line. If your attitude or your emotions change because of a win or a loss of a game significantly,
oh, mine do.
I'm done.
Oh, mine do. I have to be careful.
No.
Yeah.
Your day's... How are you mad at fantasy football people?
Listen, it's embarrassing. I'm ashamed of it.
How do you... Well, then people... I would. That's what I would yell. You yell at fantasy football people.
No,
I would yell at
here's
that.
The thing I really yell at.
That is so frustrating. I'm like, an 18-year-old ruined your day.
That's the real thing I get frustrated with is when I go...
Because you are pretending that your happiness is from this other person.
When I go to a sporting event, a college sporting event, and adults are wearing jerseys with the name of children on the back of them, teenagers, and they're screaming at teenagers from the field.
I know.
And they're 19.
But that's what we do at our house. We scream at the TV.
Does Winston have shirts of college men on his jersey?
No, he doesn't.
Okay, good.
Actually, to be as like into sports as Winston was, he's not like we don't have like ESPN. Like I have friends, and they have ESPN all the time and stuff. Like he's not a big like sports watcher.
Yeah.
It's more just the environment. But I know people and like their whole mood will change because their team loses. Now, if you had money on the game, which I don't support, but like I get that. Yeah. Like that sucks. But
a bunch of teenagers didn't come through for me this weekend. It's ridiculous.
I know. All right. And then our quote. Thank you, Proverbs, for taking us on that. Good enough never is. Debbie Fields.
Way to go, Debbie.
Right. It's great. All right. Going to the phones to close out the show today is Caroline in Manchester. Hey, Caroline. Welcome to the show.
Hi there. Thank you for taking my call.
Absolutely. How can we help?
So my grandpa has offered to help me a little bit by paying for things like gas and groceries. So I accepted his help for a little while, but then I started to feel very guilty because I wasn't actually supporting myself 100%. So my question is, because now I'm rethinking that decision once he was insulted by my not using his money because he's just trying to be generous. So I'm rethinking that decision. So I'm just wondering, what do you think about accepting this kind of small support from a family member?
Okay. How old are you, Caroline?
I'm 20.
You're 20 years old. Okay. And what's your current, living situation? Are you in school? Are you living on your own?
Yep, I'm in. I was in school for 2 years, and I'm just taking a gap year.
Okay.
This year.
Okay, great. And are you renting a place? Do you have a house?
I'm actually living with my employers. They're pastors, and they've offered me a room in their house.
Okay.
So it's free.
And where do you work?
At the church.
At the church, okay.
Are they paying you?
Yep. They are paying me. Yep.
Are they paying you a livable wage?
It's $18 an hour, 40 hours a week.
Okay.
Yep.
So with free rent and with an $18 an hour job, 40 hours a week, you're not able to make your bills?
Well, I am, so that's my question is it wrong if I accept his help knowing that I could just support myself financially?
Well, I think it changes from he's not giving you help, he's just blessing you with money every month. Right. If you tell him I need your help with tuition or I need help with my housing because I'm in college, that's one thing. If your granddad just likes sending you checks because he loves you, that's another thing. But if you're telling him a third thing is, hey, Grandpa, I need your help, I need your help, I need your help, and he's worried about you, well, now we're getting into some dishonesty. So I don't think he's sending you money for help as much as he likes blessing his granddaughter with some cash, and you're making do with the situation you've chosen right now. So I mean, I don't. Where does your guilt come from?
I think it's just because I feel like I could just support myself financially. So the fact that I'm accepting outside help just makes me feel like I am lying.
Yeah. And did he get offended when you said you don't need the money anymore?
He did.
Okay, so that's weird to me.
Well, and that makes me think he's not trying to. I mean, if you feel guilty about this, do what's best by you. I think you're feeling guilty about something that your granddad may not intend.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because what you could do, Caroline, on one end of the spectrum, I mean, really, like what John's saying, it's like, if you have a granddad that just has a lot of money and he's
put
like,
an account and save for a house, right?
That's right. That's what I was going to say. Is just say, hey, Grandpa, like where I am financially, I'm okay. He's not like concerned about your living situation, and he's wanting to, tell you, Caroline, you need to go do something else, and here's the money. You need to put yourself in a better situation at all. He's not concerned for you, is he?
No, he just wants to help me.
Okay.
Yeah, put money in an account.
So I would just say to tell him, hey, Grandpa, this is what I'm doing right now. And I feel, and I want to practice the diligence of knowing that I can stand on my own 2 feet. And this is feeling good for me. I'm 20 years old and I want to just know I can do it. But I really appreciate your generosity. And so what I want to do is take your money. I'm going to put it in an account and I'm not going to touch it except for major purchases. So when I need to replace my car, for a down payment, maybe on a future home, maybe it's that, your living situation in 6 months, Caroline, you may say, gosh, I would love to move out and have my own place. And maybe you can take some of that to help with a little bit of rent at the beginning till you can cash flow it. Do you know what I mean? Like you can give it a purpose without feeling like you're lying, and that you're very honest with him and open with him. That's what you're going to do is you're going to let it be in an account and you'll use it for major purchases later in life, because that is a gift and that's wonderful. But if he's all weird about that, that's what's kind of strange to me.
I'm trying to put myself in his shoes. I can't, but I can put myself in a dad's shoes. If my daughter told me, hey, Dad, I just turned 18. I'm dropping out of college for a year, or 20. I'm dropping out of college for a year, and I'm going to live in a room in this couple's house. That sounds incredibly temporary to me. And if you told me, no, Dad, I'm making all my bills, I would think for this weird second that you've created, this little pocket out of reality, you're right. You're making your bills, but reality's coming soon. Rent and electric and water bills are coming soon. Food bills are coming soon. And so I can imagine he's concerned about what happens when this thing ends. And this does end sooner than you think it does. Whether they have a kid, whether they start getting weird, whether they just want their space back or whatever. So I do think it's very, very wise to begin planning very intentionally for where you're going to live after this. Okay, so I don't have any problem. And you can do what Rachel said. I wouldn't even bother telling him unless he asks. And he says, what are you doing with all that money I'm sending you? I'm saving up to get my own place. he'll probably smile from ear to ear and then back again. But you can sit down and tell him, here's what I'm going to do with this money from this point forward. But I think you need to start planning for a new living arrangement ASAP.
It's a great idea. Thanks, Caroline, for the call. Thanks to all the guys in the booth for a wonderful show. Thank you, John, for another great hour. And thank you, America, for listening. This is The Ramsey Show. Hey, it's Rachel Cruz. If you like what you heard in this episode and want to know more about getting started on the Ramsey baby steps, go to RamseySolutions.com and click the Get Started button. We'll help you figure out the best next step for you based on your specific situation. That's RamseySolutions.com and click Get Started.